Hey, good Tuesday morning, my friends. This is MLive Chief Meteorologist Mark Torregrossa. Yes, I love winter. Things can change quickly, and Mother Nature can always make me eat crow once in a while. Rare now, and it's usually 5 to 6 days out, but we're always eating some sort of crow, perhaps. And I say that because it looks like overnight there's been a shift in the storm track for this coming weekend storm. I wrote about this yesterday where it looked like the steady rain snow line was going to be up in the far northern part of lower Michigan, maybe Petoskey through Gaylord to Rogers City. Now, both models, and I mentioned this early now because both models latch onto it. Doesn't mean that it's right, but both the European and the GFS, the US model, both now latch onto something a little bit farther to the south, and hence Saginaw, Bay City, Mount Pleasant, maybe the Grand Rapids area, maybe that rain snow line shifts to you. So let's get to it and show you what I'm talking about. Now, what happens here, hey, good morning, Cynthia and Lori Harris. Good morning, Nancy Pallett. And good morning, Bobby Shehorn. What happens here is on the models, the data way out in the Pacific is pretty sparse. But once it gets to, I'd say, 500 to 700 miles from the U.S. coast, it gets a little more data input into the initialization. And you'll often see kind of a jump in the change of the forecast then because it has more data. I always say it's kind of like, say, if somebody painted a picture for you, but it was just little fuzzy dots, you might say, hey, that's a picture of two people sitting in a park, I think. And then if they put more dots in there, you'd say, okay, no, it's a person and a dog sitting at a bus stop. So that's what we're getting is more and more dots, more and more resolution. So the point being is that there's several storm systems out in the Pacific Northwest right now, and those are the ones that we'll be watching. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to do a comparison between the European model and the US model. So I'm just going to get us into, let me get you to a better perspective here. Hang tight with me. This is going to be weathery for you if you want to know what's going on as we head into the weekend, okay? So I'm going to show you the guts of it. And my headline said, whoa. The point being, if you're just joining us, this is MLive Chief Meteorologist Mark Torregrossa. The rain snow line may be shifting south about let's call it 100, 150 miles, and could put parts of lower Michigan into solid snow. So let's go along. Today we're fine for travel, and Wednesday we're fine for travel, and Thursday we're fine for travel. Now this is Friday morning. And one thing that has changed is this cold front that I thought would hold up maybe at about the Mackinac Bridge is now projected to sneak to about Saginaw or so. So that's the kind of realm we're working at, and we're still at 5 days out. Now, Saturday morning, and now here's Saturday evening, 8 o'clock, okay? And that intrigues me. That is about, that's a rain snow line shift, Grand Rapids to Saginaw, as opposed to yesterday it was Petoskey to Rogers City. So that's a shift south. That's the European model. Pretty good model. Let's look at the US model. About the same, also has jumped to that same solution. So looks a little bit different on the size, but there's the European and there's the US model. Now, it's the second run that has shown this every 6 hours, so we'll wait a day or two and see if as it gets the better data, how it will look. But let's go in through Saturday night. Hey, that would be snowy from Bay City to Mount Pleasant to maybe around Grand Rapids, but definitely Big Rapids would be snowy, and Clare would be snowy, and Tawas would be snowy, and Traverse City and Houghton Lake. On the other side, quick change over to rain. So Flint, you'd still be rain. Lansing, you'd still be rain. Kalamazoo, Ann Arbor, Detroit. So nothing's really changed for you in the far south. Now we're at Sunday morning, and as anticipated all along, as the storm moves east, cold air comes down, and the steady precipitation changes to off and on snow showers. Oh, sorry, my comments were okay, let's see. My comments were all jammed up. Here's a good question. Deborah Kelly, what's the difference? They use different programs? Yes, somewhat. Yes, they do use different programs. And one of the big differences in the European versus the US model is the European, they run one model and they put all their energy in that. They put a lot of initialization inputs into the model, okay? Meaning that beginning picture, remember I told you about the dots of, is it two people sitting on a bench in a park? Well, the European starts off with more dots in initialization. So that's probably where it comes in a little bit better. But the US model does very good in the short term, almost better than the European when it talks about snowfall. So there we have it. So basically what you need to know today is that the rain snow line may be shifting southward, and it may bring us snow to Saginaw, Bay City, Grand Rapids, northward, the way it stands now. I know, before I shouldn't have hit this button, but before I show you amounts, I just say we should go back to what I call, in my experience, situational forecasting for this. And that is, here's a storm. It's going to snow about 12 hours in any one spot where the heaviest snow is. Generally in this kind of storm, you can get some hours of a half inch to an inch of snow per hour. That's a moderate to heavy snowfall. And then you take 6 hours of it and you take 12 hours of it. And this looks like a 4 to 8 inch snow to me. Wet snow that'll compact some. And that's what I would say would be, a situational forecasting. Now, here's what the European does on its ensemble mode, where it runs that initialization, that initial picture of two people sitting on a park bench. The analogy there would be one's wearing a red shirt and one's wearing a blue shirt, and then they switch it around and they do some things. So they run this model various ways and then average them all together. And, it shows where you would see the heaviest snowfall out of this. And the US model. And I want to caution you, don't take these numbers because I think there's some melting. The US model tends to be a little bit too cold, so it can get to snow quicker and it can make fluffier snow, build it up a little bit. Renata Racci, sorry, that's a tough one. I should know how to say that because it sounds Italian maybe. What about Ann Arbor? You're probably mostly rain, unless there's a bigger change, mostly rain, changing to snow showers by Sunday morning, inch or so. Deb Butcher, you got a great attitude. Bring it on. That's right. So I just wanted to let you know that what we're looking at right now is a quiet weather pattern, and then there has been what I would say the first shift, okay, in the storm system southward. Stands to reason, and as things get closer, you start to believe it, and as two models say almost exact same thing, you start to believe it. And the fact that at about 5 and 6 days out lately, the models and meteorologists like myself interpret the models have been pretty much right on. Now, could that waver 50 miles north or south? Yes, it still could. So we'll just have to keep an eye on her. And that's now what I do for the rest of the winter, is keep an eye on storm systems for you here on MLive. Will the Saginaw River freeze this year? Ryan McMorris, it takes early cold to freeze it early. I would say when you look at all the trends, it'll have a tougher time freezing until later. Now, Candy Annette, did that say 1.1 inches or 11 inches? Now, I want to gently use you as an example. That said 11 inches, okay? But remember, it could be a little too cold situationally. The point being is you should be aware that there could be a solid snow and not focus on 11 inches. I would say it has what we call meteorological cancer. And that is that as it goes along, it forecasts more and more snow and it builds up and then the number is higher than what should be. That's why I think we need to jump back to a meteorologist using situational forecasting. I learned this a long time ago, 1989, when I worked at a place out of Chicago. They use situational forecasting and it works. What kind of storm system, snowstorm, heavy band of snow would this lay out? It's moving along. It's a 6 to 12 hour snow. There's some melting. It's wet. There's some compaction. That probably takes it off of the 12 and brings it down to the 8 total at tops somewhere in northern Michigan or the eastern UP. There you have it. Thanks for joining me on the MLive Morning Weather Update. Now we'll call it a soap opera for snowstorms this winter. I'll try to keep you updated best I can. Best thing you should know now is that Saturday into Sunday, if you're driving into the northern half of Michigan, you may have to deal with some real winter weather. Take care. Thanks for joining me. I'm MLive Chief Meteorologist Mark Torregrossa. Please share this stream and like us on MLive. Thank you.